All systems go. Cleared for takeoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo. We're back week 2 of the NFL, the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Here to go, ready today. Got my guys Hoop and Title here with me. Title coming off a huge week last week on Sunday and then followed it up on Monday with the King of the Beach ticket. And if you don't know, Hoop is ready to run this thing back. Last year, week 4, Seattle-Detroit, big game. We're going to talk about that one when we get to it, but Hoop won the Millie that week. So I'm feeling good. I'm around some good guys this week. We've been crushing it on the site, on ShipItNation.com, all the members. Last night we had Marley, another MMA main slate takedown. Member Crack Drafter won the Minimax to go with him to join Team ShipIt over there in the Discord. So lots going on that way. Our guy Nades, Hamwich throughout the week, crushing G-Rise and everybody. The entire team is just putting it out. And then our guy Boomer got him working hard on all the projections, stack rankings, everything. We're going to show some of that off to you guys today too. Last week they just absolutely smashed. So we're going to give a sneak preview of that. We've got $300 in giveaways to get to. We're going to break down game by game. As always, talk about how the injuries relate, ownership, GPPs, cash, roster construction. We've got it all. Hoopster, bring you in first, man. What's going on? Week 2, we're back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, week 2, and I like this comment right out of the gate. The only thing better than week 1 of football is week 2. That is true, unless your name is Title Town, who just smashed every single slate last week. And Title wants week 1 to continue on, but no, I'm confident he'll get the job done today, just on a heater, good vibes. Yeah, so yeah, the Lions, it is also very ironic. So, I mean, things are lining up very nicely for me. So we have the Lions and Seahawks game going today, obviously. That was the game that I stacked, won the million on. Well, my nephew, it's kind of I'll give you the short version. My nephew's football team was playing my best friend's football team, youth football. So we went to the game, watched the game. Those same 2 teams are playing this week, youth football, right around the corner. So I'm doing exactly what I did last year for this, this weekend where the Lions and Seahawks play. We'll see how it goes. Like it's fun. So, in terms of this slate, we got you covered. I mean, all our content is up. I mean, almost all of it was finalized yesterday. If there's ever changes, we let our people know. They'll be noted in yellow. Any additions, subtractions, changes to cores, changes to the player pool, slate plan, we denoted on there. But we really pride ourselves on getting our content up early so our members can have time to digest it, come to our Discord, ask questions, just get that process going a little bit earlier opposed to, Sunday an hour before lock. So we really want to make sure that we can continue down that path. And it's a standard that we've set here. So everything's up. Some changes will obviously be made. Ready to hit this slate hard, very confident this week. Like what we have, like what I'm seeing, and excited to break it down with you guys here Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And before I bring in Title, Kim says the truth. You can go follow that up, right, Title? It's not just week 1. You get those wins. So bring you in, Title. Before I do, guys, smash that like button on the way in. Once we get the engagement rolling, the very first $100 giveaway will happen. Somebody random in the chat will win it. Hoopster's going to keep his eye on that. But we got to get those likes up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We hit 3,000. Last week, we're already up to 3,200. So the tour for 4 is on before the drive for 5. But Title, she said it. Kim, our girl, member at the site, just awesome person in general. She said you can bring a better week 2, right? So talk to me, man. What's going on this week 2 action for you?
Yeah, I'll hope. Put yourself in a chance. Hope to get lucky. That's the story of the slate. But first, foremost, shout out my man Big Marley. 12K yesterday in the MMA streets. Oh, yeah. Crack Drafter, just awesome stuff there. So you only had like 8 teams or something, 10 teams maybe in it too. So awesome stuff, Big Marley. As always, Hoop, you got to wake up feeling a little different week 2, seeing Seahawks, seeing Lions in Detroit. You get Geno, you get Goff. I'm pumped, man. Obviously, last year, it couldn't have worked out any better. Just an awesome day, awesome moment. The Millie Maker for Hoop. You two talked about it for length at the education course over here. Tambo, your turn's coming soon for King of the Beach seats. And week 2, 12 games, some chalk pieces, a lot of good games, some big totals. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to talk some football.
Yeah, and we're going to get into it. Before we do, we don't spend too much time going back and forth off the top. We always talk about it. Less small talk, more slate talk, but we'll get all the other stuff out of the way quickly. A lot of people were interested in the trial that we ran. I'll bring up quickly the screenshot. This is how it started. Somebody said, wait, this isn't just for football? People were thinking the price was just for football. You get everything else included. There's MLB, MMA, PGA Showdown's been going on over the weekend, having some great hits over there as well. So lots of action still going on. But with that said, we did introduce this. So anybody who was looking to get in on the action today, when we break it down, we're going to give you all of our thoughts, previews, game theory, ideas for how you can build out when we go game by game. But if you want to get in and become a member, go to shipitnation.com/join. You can get in. We have as low as $19. This does not get you the Discord. So I still recommend going with the monthly or the 6-month or the annual, where you will get that Discord, but you get everything that we offer in here. And I'm going to bring it up just real quickly here for you guys, because I want to show off a couple things right off the top. So let's see if I can get this right for everybody. We'll do this. Boom, we got it. So I got it up here for you guys. So just a note with everything I just showed you, when you go to the site, it's not just NFL. If you were signing up for just the 5-day trial, the best time to do it is Thursday, because you'll get Thursday night football, all of Sunday, Sunday night football, Monday night football, and that's just for football. But then you would still get the MMA stuff last night with Marley and Title. You would have got the PGA Showdown stuff that we had going on over the weekend. You would have got all of the MLB content, and then, of course, all the NFL as well. But the other great time to sign up is now, because it's still 5 24-hour periods. You'll get today, tonight for Sunday night football. You'll get tomorrow for Monday night football, and then you'll get through to Thursday night football, and then make your decision next Friday morning on what you want to do for the following weekend. But just to break it down quickly, I'm going to share this over, show you a couple things. First off, our projections. I think a lot of people think when you go over here, it's just core reports. No. So there is core reports for GPP and for cash. We have Hoops Player Pool. We have my slate plan for DraftKings. Hamwich does it for FanDuel. Specializes over there on that site, so he notes the differences. People always ask, oh, what about on FanDuel? Should I do this? Is this more of a DK play? It's right here in our slate plans, and things like that are noted. I'll show you guys stack rankings in a minute, which absolutely smashed last week. And again, remember, while I'm going through this, we just hit 100 likes. Let's get closer to 200 as we roll through this and the stack rankings, and we're going to get to that first giveaway. DVP rankings will show up in week 4 when we actually have valid data to go off of. And then, speaking of our guy Marley shipping it in the MMA streets last night, he actually does the tier slate, the afternoon slate, and the primetime slate, breaking all that down for you as well. So there's a ton of content. The reason I still recommend the monthly over the trial, I get it. You may just want to see it and try it out. Go for it. It's $19. But the Discord is such an important and integral part of the membership. We have a ton of great members in there. All of our team, full access to all of us. Anybody in the chat right now, and this may be good for the giveaways when we get to the halfway point, can note what you love about the Ship It Nation Discord. Maybe help some of these people thinking about a trial realize why the monthly might be better for them, because you get the Discord on top of it and you have everything else that comes with it. But let's look at this quickly. Hoop, take it away, man. Talk to us about these projections, because everyone says, oh, what else do you guys have? We'll show the tools in a second, but I think these projections are huge, and we do have it really set up well for people. They're sortable. You can filter them. You can download them. You can get with the solver and our partner, but talk to people about these projections we've got.
Yeah, I mean, very, very solid projections, and obviously, very user friendly as well, where you can kind of sort by whatever you want. They get up early in the week and are updated very frequently. Another data point for our members to reference as they go through and start building their teams. And you can use this along with our stack tool as well, which we always talk about. I mean, this is another part of the overall encompassing product that we want to offer to our members. Very easy, simple to use, like you said, and solid and effective. I mean, they had some really, really strong, I'd say, not outliers, but differences in the industry last week that ended up hitting pretty darn hard. Kendrick Bourne was one that stands out for sure. We were very high on him in our projections, stack tools, stack rankings, and it paid off. So this is, again, just another data point for our members to reference. And get up early, like all our other content, and update it often throughout the week.
Yeah, it'll say right here, right, when it's been updated. You've got FanDuel and DraftKings, so you get it for both, which is awesome. You can sort it by projection, point per dollar, the ownership, which is provided by LineStar, and we see that. Do pretty much whatever you want with this, but you can also, like I said, you can download the CSV, do your own thing with it. You can copy it over to an optimizer if you don't use our partner. If you want to use the solver, You just simply go here. It'll have our logo, so you know you can't miss it. They've added the simulator stuff as well, so you guys can check that out for single lineup or for multi lineup and go through it. But this is a setup where you can get if you go for 6 months, you get it for $39.99, includes everything, all their sports. And then on our site, obviously, you can go back over to it and get everything you want with ours, where you're signing up and you can do the 5-day trial, everything we offer except the Discord. You can do the monthly for $69, which, by the way, is only around $16 a week. So that's why it's not like some crazy difference. We're just saying I understand some people do want to try it out. We have the 6-month bundle, the annual. If you get our 6-month bundle and marry it together with the 6-month bundle for the solver, it comes in under $95 a month for both. That gets you all the sports. It's auto-synced over to their side, and then you have everything included as well. Lastly, and Title, I'll come to you on this. I think you saw this last week. Our stack rankings had a bunch of good stuff in them. When Nades and I did the review show on Monday, we showed this off. Give a little sneak preview here right now, but it's showing off the San Francisco stack. But this is a cool tool, Title. Talk to us about this one. Freshly updated. It goes in sync with the projections update, with the ownership update. So it all just ties together for you out super early so you guys can get after it. But Title, talk to us a little bit about this tool before we get into the game by game.
Yeah, I mean, I used it in last week. The team, I think that was in 5th in the slant or something, had Mac Jones at 0.38%, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry at like 1%, and they were number 1 in our stack rankings. And if you look at it right now, you're probably looking like, wow, you guys have Brock Purdy over Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. No, of course, salary, ownership is all tied in to this equation. I mean, you're playing a salary game. You have to beat thousands and thousands of people. Ownership matters. Salary matters. So it takes all of that into consideration. You won't just see Allen, Burrow, Herbert, all of that. So yeah, right here, Purdy. I mean, I like the 49ers a bit. They're cheap. We saw Ayuk last week. Debo's way too cheap. So that's just telling us, takes the top 2 pass catchers that we have and it puts a value next to it. So you see 2.85, 2.8, etc. And it factors in ownership and projection, which you need.
Yeah, morning to everybody out there. I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat. We appreciate you all. We're getting close to 150 likes now, so probably going to give away that first $100 very soon. But if you are just joining us, smash a like. We'll get to the game by game in just a second. But just to show it off, we'll give a little preview of it again for both sites. But what it's factoring in is instead of there's other tools out there that you can find in the industry where it's the obvious, Josh Allen, Diggs, 1 pass catcher only shown, or Joe Burrow, Chase. We know those are the best stacks. And look, these are even popping in our value stack rankings with Allen and Burrow. So that tells you something. But notice who's with them. Diggs still falls into it because we have a guy like Kincaid, or I'm sure Knox is right behind this where you can make it work. But for Joe Burrow, it actually likes the cheap stack with Joe Burrow. And there's some other ones too. So just to show it. But if you look up top, it's the team, the quarterback, the top 2 pass catchers, an order of value related to them, what the value projection is based on value, not the actual projected score, and what their total ownership is. So obviously this one is way off the board, and it may not be the whole stack that you end up needing it, but maybe it's Chig who comes through, or maybe Burks has a big day. That's how we saw it last week with certain guys out there like Palmer for Tampa Bay. We had Bourne for New England. There was just a lot of these plays out there last week that you could get to, and I think that to me is the thing that stood out most. So that's enough there, Hoop. Anything else you want to add before we get to this first game?
Just a few comments from the chat. Is hitting it pretty good this morning. Buying the site without adding Discord is like getting married but sleeping in different beds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. You definitely want the Discord. It's a good spot. It is a good spot to be. Richie Smalls, best Discord, no BS, just facts to give winners. What else can you ask for? I mean, just very friendly environment in the Discord, like we've always talked about. Any group chat you enter online can turn nasty in a hurry. Not ours. Our Discord stays clean, friendly, helpful. It's a very solid environment. And then our guy Alec Atkins got up, hung over 6:45 this morning, but the show is so worth it. Yeah, you got to fight the hangover and be with us every Sunday morning. No excuses. One more solid comment that I wanted to point out. Our guy Jack. A lot of shows in the morning, but I know where I'll be every Sunday. Appreciate that. This is the spot to be. Other spots, yeah, they might have some good content, but this right here is where you want to be every Sunday.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here every Sunday myself. I know, Title, you got to get up a little earlier, but that'll change here. You like say get the daylight saving times, things coming our way. But let's start this off. And Title, I'm going to start with you while Hoop picks us a random winner for the first $100 giveaway. And Title, first game up that I'm going to talk about is KC and Jacksonville. And for those that don't know, there's an extra narrative that goes with this one. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but today, Patrick Mahomes' birthday. So we got the Mahomes birthday narrative, September 17th. Title, talk to me about this game. We got Lawrence, we got Mahomes. Ridley was big last week. We've got Kelsey back. We just got a lot to talk about with this game. So let's start with this one. Title, give me your first thoughts.
Yeah, highest total on the slate. And if you think about it, it's not, this game's going to get ownership. There's no doubt about it. But it's not like it's going to be the highest owned game stack by any means on the slate. There's Josh, there's Herbert, there's Joe Burrow, there's Lamar. There's plenty of other spots to go. Mahomes the highest price on the slate. And then Kelsey's going to be back this week too. And everyone's punting tight end. So that's the first thing that stands out in this game is in tournaments. I'm looking to flip the build a little bit, get overweight on Kelsey. I'm a little worried about the knee. Like, is he 100%? I don't quite know. In practice, you see he's not moving around full speed. But if he wasn't 100%, he wanted to play last week. They probably wouldn't run him out here. So with a little uncertainty, overspending at a position people want to save, all of that, I think it brings in Kelsey pretty low owned. And if tight end did what it did last week, where like 8 was the highest scoring tight end, besides Hunter Henry, but
right,
like 8 and stuff was on single entry winners, and Kelsey gets you 30, you'll probably need him. So I think Kelsey's very interesting. Even without Mahomes, I think he's fine. Again, you just completely flip the build. I like the Jacksonville side more. I think Pacheco's interesting too, is a very low owned running back, 5.7K. Running back's very concentrated this week. KC's a favorite. If they jump out a little early, he can get 25 touches, something in a good game script. They hardly use McKinnon, CEH now. He got downgraded. I think he's actually out. So I think Pacheco get a couple more carries, low owned. You can flip the build that way. So those are my two favorites there. As far as Jacksonville, I like the stack more. Like if we're talking Mahomes and that side or Trevor Lawrence, I like the savings with Trevor Lawrence. It goes a long way, 1,600. And you have so many people to pair him with. Obviously, Ridley is the guy. I'm buying in that he's receiver one. He is still my favorite. Man, he just looks so fast, so explosive out there. But Zay Jones, great game. Christian Kirk, absolutely disappointed last week. Many won't play him. Evan Ingram at tight end, no one's really going to play him. And ETN looked good last week as well. So I do like the Jacksonville side a lot. I'll be overweight in stacks for sure in tournaments. The Mahomes side, the Chiefs side. Kelsey is a one-off. Pacheco, you can throw Mahomes stacks in, but I like some other spend-ups more.
Yeah, Baseball Dad wants the hoodies, Hoop. We're all rocking the hats, the gear. We got the T-shirts. You guys can see the merch on the website as well. But we're going to work on some hoodies. I want them myself. I know everybody loves a good hoodie. Winter season is almost upon us. But you mentioned something there, a couple things, Title, that I want to talk about, and then I'll flip the Hoop. I'll get my stuff out of the way quick. Is ETN more? I think he averaged like 2 or 3 targets last year, and last week he got 5 or whatever. So just to see a difference in that. Also, a lot of Zay Jones talk. Don't forget about Chris Jones. I still don't know what the deal is, but he signed the 1-year tender after going to the game and watching the first one from the booth up top. Like, the guy is just a menace. I'm not going to play for you this week till you pay me, but I'm going to sit here and watch my team and my guys. So love to see that, but he's back. He's going to be jumping all around trying to get in Lawrence's face, and that could lead to some more of these checkdowns. So guys like Ingram and guys like ETN Jr. and little short passes, you could see those be a thing. I definitely like that side. Speaking of Kim earlier, who was in there talking about Title being able to run it back for more money this week, she might have talked me into like just using Mahomes, Kelsey. I never play Mahomes. People know this. It's always never Mahomes, or because he's so many options to spread it out with. I feel like you have to just be so committed, or I like him with Kelsey. But I do think the one thing Title brought up is you can just play Kelsey. A lot of people are paying down this week there, whether you secondary stack it or not. Just a way to get a piece of that game, though, is to do that. And then obviously a lot of the chat talking injury-wise, how does it affect it? Waiting on the CEH news, I would assume, I'm assuming out, but that's how I'm going to go with it. But that could lead to Pacheco. Like he said, I think our guy Newens, who won the giveaway last week that Hoop's about to do, the $100, he says could be a McKinnon, Millie Maker type play. Yeah, you could go with that. If you want to see him checking it down, things like that. So I do think there's options here, but Hoop, I'm going to flip it to you. I like the Lawrence side for stacking purposes better. Do you have a winner for us? And then give us your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, so the winner is just going to be our guy. We already posted the comment, Jack L. I mean, appreciate that comment. A lot of shows in the morning, but I know where I'll be every Sunday, and we appreciate that, trying to build momentum here on this channel and continue to not only bring NFL shows, but MLB, MMA, NBA when that starts back up. So PGA as well. So we appreciate you being here. And again, that's just a reminder, please hit the like and subscribe. Helps us to build up this channel and the community, what we're trying to do here. So Jack L, we appreciate that comment. And, I hope a lot of people start realizing this is the spot right here to be every Sunday morning. Same time, same crew, 9:45 Eastern, be here. So, Jack, appreciate that. You win the first giveaway. And then someone had mentioned about the hoodies. We don't have hoodies right now, but we have T-shirts and we have hats, and they're available on our website. So if you haven't checked it out yet, under shop merch, very easy. So we have some T-shirts, we have some hats, and we'll be adding another T-shirt here relatively soon. So make sure to get on over there, and you can get yourself this little SHIPIT hat. We got the T-shirts, got everything you need. So in terms of this game, love it. Absolutely love this game. I mean, it is a high total, but again, look at last week. A lot of people said, oh, you can't play Chargers and Dolphins because it's going to be so highly owned and blah, blah, blah. Well, what did you need to win last week? You needed the freaking Dolphins to win. You needed Tyreek. You needed Tua. There's no need to shy away from this because it is the highest total. I love this game. On the Chiefs side, much more difficult, though. I mean, they're going to roll out all these shitty wide receivers, and some of them were obviously really, really bad. Kadarius Toney, worst game ever by a wide receiver. He's still going to be out there, but the return of Kelsey is big. And is he 100%? I don't know. Does he need to be 100% to be the best tight end this week? Absolutely not. I mean, you said it, a title like with the highest score outside of Henry was like 8 at the tight end position. So if he goes out, finds end zone twice, very likely to be on the optimal. So I want to get a lot of exposure to him. People might be a little bit hesitant because of the knee injury. People have been posting the videos and things throughout the week. I want to be on Kelsey. I will want some Mahomes, but it's not one of those situations where I'm going to force in X amount of wide receivers with Mahomes because he really could spread it out to all of these guys. I mean, we saw last week it was this Rice guy, 3,800, but this week it could be, Sky Moore. I do want some exposure to Sky Moore. I mean, it was that first game, prime time, showdown. I think it was like the highest owned guy on the slate or right there in terms of like the cheap option, completely busted. People still have that taste in their mouth. I want to get a little bit of exposure to him. I do think he has a chance to eventually cement himself as a Mahomes go-to guy here a little bit. So Sky Moore, I have interest in. Pacheco, I think that's a good call without Edwards-Helaire. And then on the Jag side, much easier team to stack up. Ridley looked phenomenal last week. I mean, he looked, we always say, at title, you always use the word levels in the MMA streets. Like guys are levels above. Like he looked levels above the cornerbacks last week. I mean, he just absolutely dusted these guys. Price is still cheap on DK, 7,200 on FanDuel. He's up there with the big boys at 8,300, but still certainly in play. Like it's a really good spot. Christian Kirk, the one guy that was kind of left out last week, I want to go right back to him. Christian Kirk is very skilled. He's 5.1K. Sucked last week. I want exposure to him, Zay Jones, and then Evan Ingram at the tight end position. A lot of people are going to want to go to that 3K range. There's a lot of 3K tight ends this week, and we'll talk about those 3K tight ends, but people don't want to go a little bit above the 3K price range, which is where Ingram is at, $4,800. So really like this game overall. I mean, obviously the Jaguar side, a little bit easier to pinpoint where the production is going to come from. On the Chiefs side, a lot of question marks, but I think we can embrace a little bit of that risk.
Yeah, Dave said this. I mean, they've talked 30-plus snaps, important plays, all that. We'll see about Chris Jones, but just a note, obviously that can lead to it. The thing is, though, here's the thing. What I always say, the chat's already, it's Sky Moore week, it's Tony week, it's going to be this, overreaction. That's what my point is. So if you're playing Mahomes, play him. Get on him and find those ways because you don't know until it happens. And there's 4 other guys we didn't just mention in saying that. So stack it up if you're going to. Find your way around. Hoop, I'm going to stay with you as we go to this next one. Another big game for this slate. Josh Allen versus Josh Jacobs. Another guy that was on your team. It's Jimmy D, but still, Josh Jacobs is there. And he was on your team last season. You could do it again this week. Detroit, Seattle, stack it all up. Get Josh Jacobs in there to get a piece of this one. But I think a lot of people want a piece of this one. They don't expect Josh Allen to have as bad of a game as he did in week 1. Let's talk about this one, Vegas and the Bills. What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, very appealing spot. I mean, a lot of those top-end quarterbacks last week busted, which was very rare. But the first guy that had the chance to redeem himself was Jalen Hurts, and he did just that on Thursday night. I mean, he looked phenomenal, bounced back. I expect the same thing for Josh Allen. I expect the same thing for Joe Burrow, who we'll talk about in a little bit. These quarterbacks that sucked last week, I think a lot of them bounced back this week, and Josh Allen was really bad in the second half of that game. There's no denying it. Interceptions, fumbles, he looked like complete shit. But, the Bills are projected to score 28 points. And when the Bills are projected to score 4 touchdowns, a lot of it comes from Josh Allen, and I want to be on Josh Allen in a big way today. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, even that Hardy guy, very involved. Like a showdown play that was popular. He was very involved in that game, getting him little gadget type things. I think he's a fine option. And then you have, Knox and more specifically Kincaid, who I'm really interested in. 4 targets, brought them all in. You could tell that they were running plays to get him involved in the offense. Kincaid's going to be a part of this offense moving forward. And he's another cheap tight end that we can play. And then even James Cook, I'm cool with him. He looked pretty good. They're obviously going to mix in the other guys too, but he's clearly the number one. So there's like a ton of options on the Bills side that you can play. Then on the Raiders side, kind of going to be a consolidated offense. Now with Jacoby Myers out, Myers was very involved last week. Well, now he's out. Devontae Adams has probably the cheapest price tag we've seen on him in a while, $7,600 on DK, but more, I guess, cheaper on FanDuel. What is $7,500, I believe, on FanDuel. That's super, super cheap for Devontae Adams, where he should just get a ton of targets. And if they're playing from behind, he should get even more. Josh Jacobs, getting all the work. And, last week, I think it was 17, 18 carries, 3-4 targets. Like, he is going to get all the work. He'll play if they have a lead. He'll play if they're playing from behind. Just phenomenal play. And then, does Hunter Renfrow make his return? Without a wide receiver too? Like, should I go get the jersey mid-show? Like, I have 4 jerseys. Thank you to all the people out there that sent them to me last year. But is it Hunter Renfrow week? Who knows? They're going to have to go to somebody else here at some point. Maybe it is our guy Renfrow, so that's something to keep in mind. I will have Renfrow in my player pool just to clarify that. Yeah,
you have to almost. Yeah. I like some of the stuff you mentioned. I guess one guy I didn't hear in title, I'll come to you in a second, but James Cook is a guy that I could see being used here if I'm not getting to those stacks. I obviously love Josh Allen like the rest. There's so many ways you can stack him. You can do Allen, Diggs, Davis. You could do Allen, Diggs with one of Kincaid or Knox. You could do Davis and Kincaid or Knox. You can do a lot of different things. You could stack them with James Cook. There's just so many ways, and it's pretty easy to get to Josh Allen on this slate with some of the other values we have at the other positions. So keep that in mind as well. But Title, what are you doing here with this game? You usually like, some of these spots. What's your thoughts on this game? Still a decent total for this one too.
Yeah, same thing as you guys. Really, no hot takes here. I don't like the Vegas side. I can't really get to Jimmy G. If you're playing a bunch of teams, of course, but no, the Devontae is really the only one on that side. No Jacoby Myers. If you want to take a shot on Renfrow, I get it. His role, who knows this year? There's reports in training camp early on in the year that he might even not make the roster or get traded, and then he performed better. I mean, he's always been solid out there, but his role wasn't as secure this year as it has been in the past. So really just Devontae or bust. If you want to overspend on Jacobs, fine, but pretty big dogs here, probably trailing game script. Don't love that. The Bill side, though, for sure. Yeah, Devontae 7.6, 7.5 on FanDuel. Just a misprice. Ownership will come with it, though. As far as the Bill side, of course, Josh Allen, Diggs, James Cook's one of my favorites as well. The true 3-down guy. Damian Harris gets some goal line stuff, but Cook can catch him back, pass it out of the backfield. Kincaid, Gabe Davis, Knox. I prefer the Knox and Kincaid just because of the tight end position. And I think I prefer Kincaid because he's a little better pass catcher, a little more upside, I think, but no strong lean there. I don't love Knox, Kincaid, Davis. I would mix and match them, but it's not like I want to get crazy ownership. It's really Diggs, Cook, Josh Allen, where most of their so concentrated where their yards come from and their usage comes from. So those are the 3 main ones I'm targeting. Devontae on the other side. I like a couple other stacks more in tournaments than Josh Allen, but he's going to get some ownership. He has all the rushing upside, big arm. I get it for sure. So yeah, Bill's side.
Do us a favor, guys. We appreciate everybody that's just joining. Almost 500 watching now, almost 200 likes. So let's keep this rolling. Our goal last week, we didn't hit it, was to get to 500 likes while live on the show. So might have to get that extra iPad, pull it out of the kids' hands for a minute and give it that extra like, but do us that favor and then subscribe to the channel while you're there. Title, I'm actually going to stick with you. I want to add one more point first on that game. Someone asked hot takes or any extra add-ons for that game. The Raiders defense. I don't love it. I'm just saying, if you didn't have any Bills in your lineup and you couldn't get there, but you think that this is going to be a game that's going to be popular, and it likely will with some of those stacking pieces we just talked about, I wouldn't hate it. There was a stat I saw. Again, people talk about all these overreactions. Well, maybe it's an underreaction. It was last week. Just last week, Josh Allen, he's never going to be that horrible again. Somebody went back and pulled. It's 4 of the last 5 games now. He's been a turnover machine. So again, does that mean they won't still put up 30 points? But it's not about that. We're not looking for shutouts here when we pull the Raiders. They're the cheapest D that you can use if you don't have Bills in your lineup. I think it's fine if you land there and need the savings. I just really don't care about defense that much. And we don't have anything on the slate this week that's as high as like Washington in week 1 where we had that type of scenario. There's other popular defenses, but nothing really like that. Title, coming back to you, Chicago, Tampa Bay just got a little news, not major at all, but Chase Claypool will be active. There was talks, obviously, week 1, disappointed in him, and people are talking about DJ Moore, all these other things, not really going heavy on the Chicago side. But of note, Deontay Foreman, healthy scratch. Last week, you saw Roschon Johnson get some more action already out of the gate. They have Khalil Herbert, obviously, but talk to me about this Chicago-Tampa Bay game. Anything you like in there at all?
Yeah, that's interesting. The Foreman news. Johnson got most of the work when the game got out of hand late. Herbert was more early, but Johnson did play well, so it's going to be interesting monitoring that situation moving forward. As far as this game, man, is it gross, but I am going to have more Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers than I want. He's very cheap. A lot of people will be spending up in tournaments for a stack, whether it's Burrow, whether it's Allen, all of that. So you flip the build a little bit. You have Godwin, you have Mike Evans, you have Rachaad White, just 3 clear guys to throw in the stacks. I don't think Cade Otton's the craziest thing. Talking more Millie stuff, large field, but at 1-2% at a weak tight end position anyway, I'm fine with that. But yeah, man, just Baker at 5.1K makes so much work for you. If you want to overspend there's McCaffrey's and the Jacobs really low owned. There's just so many things you can do with this. Applied for 22 points. They're in Tampa, so the weather's good. Godwin 6K, Mike Evans 6.2, Rachaad White 5.5, Baker 5.1. One of my favorite vomit, gross, cheap stacks of the week. But yeah, they're at home. You don't need too much. You have the pass catchers. They're all fairly priced. Give me some Buccaneers stacks, and I know it is very gross. As far as the Bears, no thank you. There's nobody I want to play.
Yeah, I will say this too. I sort of leaned on that later in the week. So I have so much Rachaad White because he's $5,500. The spot looks good at home, all these other things that when I'm seeing it, I was just like you just said, one easy way to leverage it is if you go Baker and then you have Godwin, Evans, or you could get Otton. It's really not that spread out. And you're just going to say, if I'm not playing White, you could even play him with White. I'm just saying in these lineups, I like that as a way to do it. And if you want to just completely fill out the other side, you could try a DJ Moore or something. You don't have to do this or a Komet, but you could just fill it right out if you want to do that. But for me, I definitely think it's an opportunity this week. And then you can just fill it in with some of the other cheaper plays around it. Hoop, I'll go to you. We were talking a little bit pre-show about the, Rachaad White play this week and some other stuff. I don't think this is like a crazy game to get after. Besides, I agree with Title with what he just mentioned, but how are you handling this spot for Rachaad White and then anybody else within this game?
Yeah, Rachaad White stands out definitely. I mean, he got all the work, and that's what you want out of a running back that gets a majority of the work, catches passes. The price is fair, 6,200 on FanDuel, 55 on DK. Prefer him a little bit more on DK, but certainly in play FanDuel as well with what do you have, 18, 19 carries? It was a big boy number.
It was 18 for 33. He got all the touches, but a tough match.
Got all the touches and no efficiency at all. And it's kind of what you'd expect if you said Rachaad White's getting all the work at running back. You'd expect him to probably not be very efficient, and that was the case. More of a pass catcher. So I'm gonna lean more exposure to him on DK, where he's just more outs with the pass catching. I don't hate the pass catchers for the Buccaneers, but I just don't know if I want to get to Baker. I get it. I know he's cheap, but man, I just have there's certain quarterbacks that I have, I just can't click the name, and I just can't click the name Baker Mayfield, but I will play some Evans and Godwin, both, decent degree of upside, I'd say for sure. Godwin's game just fits DK scoring perfectly. Mike Evans has the multiple touchdown upside that you like. So in on those guys, in on White. And then just fading the Bears. I mean, they looked like complete shit last week, and I just don't see it getting any better. And they just have no pieces that interest me, so it'll be a fade. I mean, their team totals under 20, just nothing here for me at all.
Yeah, the only other thing, and then I'll stick with you, Hoop, is that I do like if you go another thing with Rachaad White, you can pair him with the Bucs D. If you just want to fade that Chicago side and say, who cares, get after it that way. Yeah. You could also run him on a secondary stack with DJ Moore. I pointed that out as well, so I don't hate that. And that's, the low total games, this, and there's one more that I know that there's not going to be big points put up, or at least I don't think there will be, but I think that you can still get there via point per reception. If you get those touchdowns, things like that, they're still going to be points. So you're going to get them from somewhere from a fantasy perspective. Hoop, I'm going to stick with you as we move to Green Bay, Atlanta, another low total game. Anything you like in this one?
I'll start on the Atlanta side. I mean, we saw their blueprint last season. Like, if they get a lead, their offense is just done. Like, the running backs, yeah, they'll get some touchdowns, but they'll, mix in. I just saw the report, Algier and Robinson will be splitting. So a lot of people that in the season-long streets that drafted Robinson, round one, probably pretty disappointed. I mean, all indications in the offseason were that, Robinson was going to be the guy. He looked great. Similar situation to Gibbs. They're just not going to give him all the work. Maybe eventually down the road towards, middle of the season, they turn it over, but looked pretty clear that they're going to be splitting. So not ideal. And then the price tag's up. So can't really go there. And you can't trust this offense from a passing perspective. Like, me and Title have joked about Drake London for a year and a half now. Yeah. And it's just not there, man. I mean, it's just not there. There's nothing there. They'd have to be playing from behind, and then the problem is you got this shitty quarterback throwing him the ball. So it's like not a situation I want to be involved in. Fade for sure on the Falcons side. I don't see anything on the Packers side. Aaron Jones ruled out, and I think that's a boost for a lot of pieces, specifically A.J. Dillon. Now, the problem, I think, A.J. Dillon is the price tag's not great. On FanDuel, they had him up at $7K, which is great because if he was, 5,500 to be 100% owned today, they have him up to 7 on DK. He's 5'9". Fine playing him for sure. More so on DK opposed to FanDuel. Like, I don't want to pay 7. There's so many guys in the 6K range that are super appealing that I don't think I want to pay the 7. But his game does fit FanDuel scoring much better. Now, the one thing that, I think these pass catchers, obviously, I think the pass catcher for the Packers get a bigger boost potentially than A.J. Dillon, because we saw it last week. Jones is more effective when he's catching the ball out of the backfield. They're already without Christian Watson. Like, they're going to have to go to some of these guys. Dobbs, Reed, Musgrave, I think all get substantial boosts, and I want exposure to all those guys. They could potentially be playing from behind in this game. I mean, the Falcons are favored, slight favorite. I mean, they're only 1.5 point favorites, but man, if they have to pass the ball, it has to go to like one of those 3 guys. It's Dobbs, Reed, Musgrave, who I think are all really good plays. A.J. Dillon, fine with, prefer more on DK. And then the Falcons side, like I said, I'm not playing anyone there.
Yeah, I'll come to you, Title. Last week we reviewed it. The Mega Millie Maker winner, shout out Irby, got the job done with Musgrave and Reed. He just used them as like a combo pack for 5,900 and said, I'll take what I get. I think they got him 15, which was just shy of 3X or whatever, give or take. So he took it and moved on and took his $1 million on one entry. So congrats to him. But like Hoop said, it becomes that way too. I have a question for you though, because we know this game, the focus is going to be on Dillon, the first thing people look at, I think, but I'm also seeing a lot of talk about Musgrave. You could probably play him again. Look at that as a cheap combo pack. I don't know, but how are you handling the Green Bay side? And then is there anybody on Atlanta that you have interest in?
I just don't really love this game. It's 41 total. Like, Dillon's definitely my favorites, but he's going to get ownership. The price tag is good. There's no Aaron Jones there. They called up Taylor, but Dillon's going to get most of the work. He's just, I don't think, very good. Like, he just doesn't have breakaway speed. He runs up the middle for 6 yards. It's going to be a slow-paced game. Like, Falcons are going to run the ball on the other side. It just really feels like a gross game. So, yeah, Dillon at the price tag, he falls in the box once. He probably gets there. The Musgraves, the Reeds, the Romeo Doubs. Yeah, Musgrave is definitely my favorite. I think he's the highest owned of the 3 as well. I just don't love the upside for really any of these guys because I think it's going to be both sides. Algier pounding the ball, Robinson pounding the ball, Dillon pounding the ball, move the sticks, 3rd and short. It's just a gross game to watch. So outside of Dillon, I really don't want much exposure. Like the Drake London, the Kyle Pitts, if you see them in a couple lineups in my 300 teams or whatever, fine. But I can't make a case. I don't like this game at all.
Yeah, and I think this is a good comment too. These chalky running backs early is that they are not good players or in bad spots. And we're about to get to Joshua Kelly in a second. We just talked Dillon, Rashad White, all these guys that are popular. But give me one more thought on this title, because I want to ask you, obviously you and Hoop do the cash show. I mean, you play a ton of cash each week on top of everything else, and then are winning tournaments and King of the Beach tickets. So the whole 9 yards. But just to say it, like, this week is not, to me, the same as week 1, beyond the obvious of the overreaction stuff. So people don't know what that is. Everyone says the same thing every year. Week 1 is usually pretty chalky because we've had the pricing since the end of July. Pretty chalky also typically leads to bigger scores. Mind you, last week wasn't the highest scores we've seen for weeks. Some weeks get even higher, but typically week 2, when people say it's an overreaction week in DFS, what they're saying is everyone just jumps onto all the guys that did something last week. There is some of those on the slate, but Ted, I want to ask you about that. Like, how do you see the scoring shake out for this slate? Because then that's what people, I think, forget. It's like, you might not need 25 from Dylan or 25 from Kelly or 25 from White. You just may need them to fill in for their price because there may only be 3 30-point scorers on the slate. You just need to find a way to get those into your lineup. So give me your thoughts on that quick, and then I'll go to Hoop on this next game, of course.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I think the wide receiver position is absolutely loaded. So I expect multiple, like Tyreek last week. Maybe people aren't quite doing that, but I think there's going to be enough wide receiver spike weeks where you're going to need a couple guys. And the tight end position, I guess, is the big thing. Like, it was more low scoring last week because tight end was just such a bust everywhere. Tua got there, but most quarterbacks didn't really hit a ceiling as well. Like, I'm looking at that Detroit-Seattle game has the potential. The Jaguars-KC game, the Bills, obviously, with Josh Allen, Herbert, Burrow, and Lamar. So I'm expecting a higher scoring week this week. And a lot of Russ, I think, week 1 as well. Getting their feet back. Like, the defense, I favored a little bit there. So I think we see offense pick up a little bit, see some bigger scores. And the last thing I just wanted to mention was Cordell Patterson is back. Yes, but I do not expect him to get much of a role at all. Algier and Robinson, such a crowded backfield. So I don't think that's going to do anything.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I can't do much with that either. Hoopster, I got to go to you on this one, man. This is the Millie Maker game from last year, week 4, but we're at it in week 2. You mentioned it off the top, but Seattle, Detroit. Couple notes. People wanted us to talk more about this. I love talking about this stuff. I think it does affect the game in some cases. These next 2 games have a bunch of these conversations, really the next 3 games, really. But this one, left tackle, Decker out for Detroit. And then on the Seattle side, they're already down a couple O-linemen, and then there was more, I believe, to end the week. So there's call-ups. There's guys that get next man up and step in for sure. But in this game, I think we're seeing a lot of conversation around the running back position. There's people that want to stack it up overall because of the scoring from last year. And if this was a showdown slate for me, Hoop, and I always talk about this in my slate plans on the site, I think it's like 3 ways. The O-line stuff really affects it, and it's just dirty, back and forth, disgusting game. Detroit likes to run. It goes under, and we see how it shakes out. Or you see it where the other side of it is that it just goes off because it gets very sloppy and they start to just throw and make passes and things come together. And then once one side gets going, the other side goes with it. So that's at least a couple of the ways that I would attack it. But Hoop, how are you thinking this game for the main slate, besides the obvious that everyone knows you have to run it back some when it literally just won you? You can lose a lot of money on this game this week and still be up quite a bit of money on this game. So you go ahead.
Yeah, I have no choice. I mean, obviously, regardless of how I feel about Geno Smith and Jared Goff, like, I have to have some stacks today. It doesn't matter. I happen to like them, so it works out pretty well. I mean, yeah, you have these injuries on the defensive side, offensive line stuff, like that could lead obviously to a shootout, and you have big play guys on both sides. I mean, similar to what we saw last season. Now, last season when I won, there were more substantial injuries, like Amon-Ra St. Brown was out, which is obviously a massive boost to like everyone else on the Lions side. That's kind of how I fell into that build where I was just overstacking this game. In terms of the game this season, you look at guys like Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, the 2 primary guys in the Seahawks offense, very low owned today. I mean, they're going to be very low owned, and they get the benefit of playing indoors in this dome, which, right now the weather's still good in most spots, but still, if you have the option of playing in or out, you're going to want to play indoors. No elements like whatsoever, comfortable environment. So I like Metcalf. I like Lockett on the Lions side. David Montgomery is going to get a majority of the work. Gibbs is going to be worked in. We've talked about it on many shows. Eventually, Gibbs' workload is probably going to surpass Montgomery's, but it's not going to be week 2. So Montgomery, I think, still a really good play. If they get the ball at the 5-yard line, like he's going to be the guy that's in the game most likely. So good with him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's not going to be low owned, but I think he might have a chance to get lost in the shuffle with some of those other high-end wide receivers. This isn't the situation last season where they're so slow to bump his price tag. Like, he's there now. Like, he's there with those guys. I think people will still go to Diggs, Jamar Chase over him. I want to make sure I have adequate St. Brown exposure. Josh Reynolds is a value wide receiver. Marvin Jones looked pretty bad last week, but he's only 3.6K. I mean, 3.6K. So I have interest there. And then Laporta looks solid. I mean, another one of those tight ends that is taking his targets. It's very small sample size, just week 1, taking those targets and turning them into catches. He was like 4 for 4 or 5 for 5, however many catches he had last week. So you like to see that. They were looking to get him involved. So it's a game that, is a little bit, in terms of the game total, a little bit lower than some of these other spots, specifically the Chiefs and the Jaguars. Still has a lot of pieces that we can potentially play, and clearly has a soft spot in my heart because it won me $1 million last year. I'll be going back here. I'll make sure I have adequate exposure, I guess is how I'll put it.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is how I do think this game is likely to be involved in some way, shape, or form. It could end up being a weird one, like Kenneth Walker with Laporta as a secondary stack. I'm just making stuff up, but just to give you guys ideas, there is lots you can do in this game. You could play both running backs against each other and just hope it's low scoring. You could play Montgomery with the Detroit defense, with Hutchinson coming at Seattle with no O-line, and find that way to get there, where people are saying, oh, Detroit D's picking up steam. Well, are people playing the two of them together? I don't know. I'm just giving you ideas of how you can use it. I do like the Detroit side better. I like what Hoop said about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Laporta. I like some of the other options there. Picking at running back, it's very hard to trust Gibbs after last year's with Swift and the way they didn't use him, and with him still being eased in maybe after week one. He was definitely not used as much, but in tournaments, I've got no problem with it because I think about them without their left tackle Decker, where they may just be, Goff just needs to get rid of the ball, man. So I think there's definitely opportunity here on the Detroit side. On the Seattle side, it's very easy because it's Lockett, Metcalf, and then Walker if you want to go there. Like that to me is all the options. So I definitely think there's ways to stack it up as well. But Title, I'll come to you on this one. Give me your thoughts, Seattle, Detroit.
Yeah, you're mentioning the offensive line issue on Detroit. Seahawks are missing 2 offensive linemen as well, so they're beat up at the front. If this game goes off, I hope Hoop wins another milli, because I won't have too much. I'm going to be hoping the running backs are my favorite play. Montgomery on Detroit side and Kenneth Walker on the other side. I always love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I prefer the Lions side if I had to choose. You get Josh Reynolds in there as well, sub 4K. He runs a lot of routes, PPR guys. So he was on your winner, right, last year, Hoop, as well, Josh Reynolds?
Josh Reynolds was on the team, yes. Yep. Yeah. He was on the squad. Yeah,
so 3.7. They're still without Jameson Williams, obviously, with his suspension. So I'm good with him as the wide receiver, too. I think Lions D is a little interesting with the Seahawks beat up in the O-line. We don't talk a lot about defenses and stuff, but, hey, you never know. Detroit jumps out a little bit. Seahawks have to play from behind. They drop back a lot. Bad O-line. Hutchinson out there. There's opportunities. So as far as stacking and all that, yeah, I'm going to other spots mainly. If you do play Geno, you have DK Lockett. You play Goff, you have Amon-Ra and stuff. But Montgomery, my favorite. Playing the Detroit side, I still do like Amon-Ra a lot every single week. Dude's a stud. Kenneth Walker, my favorite on the Seattle side. But yeah, I won't have too much exposure.
I think we have it here. It's going to cover our faces for a second, but Hoopster's winning Millie Maker lineup from last year was Geno, Metcalf, Lockett. Run it back with Hawkinson, Reynolds, Jamal Williams. RIP to all the Jamal Williams lineups for New Orleans last week that did not work out, including my own. Eckler, who came through last week, came through for the Hoopster. Josh Jacobs, and then the Eagles defense. So just to bring that up.
Let's see real quick how close we can get without getting all the way there. So instead, it's a little fun.
You build it. I'm talking. You build it. You guys keep going here. We got to keep it moving. We talk about it. Less small talk, more Slate talk. You build your imaginary lineup. If you guys do me a favor, we're about to hit the
Title. You see how
Oops, still trying to talk about it while I'm talking.
Title. You see how that works? Like Tambo's allowed to ramble on, go into his segments for minutes. The second Hoop comes up with an idea, no, we're shutting it down.
You work on in the behind the scenes. I'm saying you're gonna still do it, but you're like trying to talk it through. I'm sure. One thing I wanted to bring up, one comment that was mentioned. You guys know Tambo's tidbits. I read, watch everything. Hoop's name got mentioned and dropped a lot in these shows around the industry this week and podcasts because people remember this game. They know Hoopster got the job done. Are you still working on it, Hoop? What do you got?
Yeah, so now you're interested, huh?
I said you don't need to go. That. Get to the lineup.
Yeah, so you can get it. You can get it really, really close. So you go Geno with Metcalf, Lockett. You got Montgomery, Reynolds, Laporta. I just put in like a cheap defense. So you got a running back and flex spot, and there's 7,600 left for both spot. I'm gonna have to play a team like this. All right, it's going in something today.
So it is a million times.
It is now. Now it's
you and every 500 people on this show building.
Vinny knows winner from last week. Hoop is the sharpest in the industry, but what I'm trying to say to Hoop is he's the sharpest on that. I'm trying to focus on the showtime, the hosting, all that. I'm gonna get him to do that behind the scenes while we talk about it. But I like what you said, and you can cover in. Hawkinson becomes Laporta. David Montgomery becomes Jamal Williams from last year. Like you can kind of build it out that way.
No,
and
it's
see
there.
what you can get to.
It is there.
It
is
think
there
we just
because
have so
honestly,
much
the team
salary.
that won had the too expensive wide receiver or running backs. It had Eckler, who was expensive, and it had
Kenneth Walker,
Josh Jacobs. Oh, yeah, Jacobs was in there too. I got to include. Okay, yeah, this team is there, boys. It is there. It's there for the taking.
Everyone's out there building it now and getting it rolling. We love to see that. Let's move on. Let's go to this next game, guys. We're about to hit 250 likes. I think we just did, so let's keep it going. The goal is 500. We have over 500 watching. Takes just 1 second while Hoop's creating teams in the background to press that little thumbs up and be good to go. So do us that favor. Subscribe while you're at it. We've added 20 to 30 already just from this show. So if you guys can do us that favor, it always helps us out, bring more free content to you guys. All of our shows are free, by the way. You can always check that out. So Title, go back to you, man. We just talked some O-line stuff. I know Tennessee, we're going to the Chargers-Tennessee game. They're missing their first-round pick on the O-line, and the Chargers are getting Joey Bosa, who was, they were saying you weren't sure if he was going to be playing today. Ends up that he is. So what are you doing here with this one? We got the Chargers and the Titans. There's, I think, a lot of plays within this game.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up for this game. Titans secondary's beat up as well. They're missing, I want to say one, maybe two guys in the back half there. So Titans secondary beat up. The huge story of this one is obviously Josh Kelly. So with no Austin Eckler, Josh Kelly is going to be one of the highest owned players on the slate at $5K. He's just mispriced. I mean, even with Eckler last week, Eckler's only – they don't run him like 80-20, 90-10. He's as good as it gets, but they want him all year. He's smaller. Kelly mixes in anyway, and he got the ball 10-plus times last game. He caught a couple passes out of the backfield. Now he's only 5K. Like Kelly, I think it's solid chalk, but at the end of the day, he's going to be very chalky. He's 5K. There's Rachaad White in that rate. There's so many options to pivot. An interesting way to go about it is just go to if Kelly fails, how does he get there? You can look at his backup like Isaiah Spiller, all that stuff. No, thank you for that. Then you go the passing game. Maybe Kelly only rushes the ball 11 times. They're down 14 to start. Titans jump out early. He's game scripted out. Maybe it's just Titans are way more attackable in the secondary against the pass than they are in the front seven. They're going to drop back 50 times. So I love Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen stacks. I think it's small field stuff. You can also throw Kelly in that as well. And I'm curious on your take on that. But the smaller the field, you're kind of playing like the blocking game. He's going to be 70% in some smaller field stuff. And he doesn't need too much to go right. Like Mike Williams can have a touchdown. Keenan can have a touchdown. Kelly can catch 3 passes, run for 80 yards. That 11, 12 points of smaller field stuff. I mean, you don't need to get as much right because you're just jamming in that game. There are run backs. So I think you're fine playing Kelly, Williams, Allen, all in smaller field stuff. Don't like it as much in larger field. And you have plenty of run backs. You have a very low-owned DeAndre Hopkins, who was questionable all week. No one wants to play him. He's playing, though. Then you have Chig Okonkwo, cheap tight end, 3.3K. Makes a lot of sense. And Treylon Burks, who no one's going to play as well either. So I like Chig and DeAndre the most if I'm running it back. Tannehill's not the craziest, I don't think, at 5K. Should be trailing, should be a good game script. I think I prefer Baker a little bit. But yeah, on that other side, Mike, Keenan, Kelly, and Justin Herbert really, really look good. I'll have plenty of stacks of that.
Yeah, I like that. Benny Hanna got me laughing. Let him so we can all ship it. No, this ain't the site where we all build the same dupes and meet at the top. So that's the thing. But it was fun. I know people are going to have different variations of it. I love that stuff. I think someone said it earlier that it's getting a lot of steam because of that. So I think there's going to be a hoop effect. People watch the sites, remember him winning, and then the game gets decent ownership. So yeah, I don't think that matters as much. But moving back to this Chargers-Titans game, I like pretty much everything Title said. I think we're arm in arm on this one. There is other ways you can use Kelly. And I think that was one other thing. Like I joked earlier about Hoop having Jamal Williams in that same lineup last season, and last week the shares with him. I think a lot of people are taking that into their decision this week. That Kelly's going to bust. It's like the first person people are looking to auto fade. And I understand in certain lineups that I actually like the passing game more. But I'm saying I put it in our Discord today where if you're a member, you get access from monthly, 6 months, or annual, not the trial, but you do get in the Discord. Any of those packages, it's worth it. We throw little tidbits in there throughout the day. And I said that one thing, a story in 3 parts. Tennessee's missing an O-line. Joey Bosa's coming back. And people are worried about Kelly chalk. Well, you can cut his ownership in half if you play the Chargers defense. You can play Kelly with Chig and just fill out a tight end slot that needs to be filled out with a cheap tight end anyway in most cases for a lot of these builds, and do that. There's lots of ways you can do it. You could stack them up in the Herbert stacks and do it But remembering back to, like, I think people, again, are thinking you need 30 points from him to make it work. That would be phenomenal if we get that. But it's not necessarily what you're going to need today from him. So this just may be a spot that you plug it in. So I do like that. Hoop, give us your thoughts on this one. We got Chargers, Titans. Then we got about 6 games left. So we're going to do the next giveaway for a member here shortly. So still time to get in if you guys want to do so.
Yeah, I mean, agree with you guys on the Chargers thing. I mean, I was a little bit down on them after week 1. I was very heavy on Herbert last week, and they just did a lot of a lot of the issues from last season were still there, I felt, in week 1, and we saw it just a ton last year. It's like they'd get out, the offense would get out to a hot start, and then it would just like completely fizzle in the second half. We kind of saw that last week. If they're playing from behind, they just never fully get there. I don't know. I didn't love what I saw out of them, but then I started thinking through it a little bit more as the week goes on and read some of our content and listened to, our shows. I think it does make sense to be on these Herbert stacks. I mean, they have to have a different game plan. I think this week with Austin Eckler out should lead to the ball being in Herbert's hands a little more frequently. And I think that's definitely what you want. I could see him rushing it a little more often as well. So Keenan Allen, Mike Williams for sure. The one spot a little concerning to me is Gerald Everett, because they're going to use Parham in the red zone. The guy's just such a big body, and we saw it last week. He's getting the high leverage target. So actually probably Parham over Everett in these stacks, 2,900 if he finds the end zone once or twice. That's definitely enough. So good with that side. On the Titans, the run back stuff, I'm not as excited as you guys. I'll play some Chig, complete bust last week, but he's very cheap on FanDuel. He's under 5K, I think 4,700, a good price tag for him. And then 33 on DK. So he'd be my primary run back. What were your guys' thoughts on Derrick Henry? He's a guy I'm still kind of deciding on this week.
I'm going to Hopkins and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Derrick Henry overpriced and no ownership as a run back. So you can talk yourself into it.
The overreaction could be Tyjae Spears outsnapped him last week. I'm not worried about that as much as just how it all fits and makes sense. That's why I said sometimes it's the opposite running back where everyone's on Kelly and it does end up being Henry. But I was like Title said there, and our stack rankings too. I got to take those into consideration. We previewed it earlier. Tannehill, Chig, Burks popped. You can get Hopkins. There's not much else to go on that side. Like, that's your squad. And I know you say I'm not going to stack it all the way up. What if you just go Tannehill, Chig with a run back? Like, that's fine. I think there's ways that you could do it, and then you start to fit all the other pieces and don't have to worry about anything else. So it's not my favorite. I'm just saying why that would be in consideration there. Hoop, well, I go to Title on this next one because the chat already just brought it up. It's perfect time to lean into it. It's like they're reading my script here. Start looking for that next winner. We'll get a member. And this next giveaway of $100, we got to shout out. This is the key to our Discord and why we love it so much. Our guy Marty goes by Smarty E in there. Also helps run the CFB channel. It's just a community channel that everybody can get in for college football. We've got a tennis channel. We opened up a soccer channel yesterday. It's not official Ship It Nation stuff, but we just got it in there where all of our members can go in and talk about this stuff. And we had some shippers over on the college football side yesterday too. So that was awesome to see. But I'll let you look that one up, Hoop. Title. I'll come to you on this one. I think it was B Square. Said, what's Lamar ownership? Haven't heard much about that stack. I actually like the Burrow side a little bit more, and I'll talk about why in a second, but I'll let you take it away. Title. Baltimore, Cincinnati. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm on the Burrow side as well. What is Lamar in tournaments? I think it'll probably be like 7-8%, something in that range. Definitely on the Lamar side as well. There's injuries in Baltimore secondary. Humphrey is out, and I believe one other DB is out as well. So, man, it's a great bounce back spot for Joey B. They looked as flat as all could be. Of course, there was some weather in that one and stuff. Who knows how much that had to do. But I just think Burrow didn't play much in the preseason at all. He got injured right away. So he came back. He was rusty. Chase didn't get anything going. Higgins had like the most air yards for no yards I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's a lot of hope for the Bengals here, and it's a great spot against Baltimore, who should put up points on the other side. They're beat up in the secondary. Chase, great bounce back spot. Irv Smith, 3.2K, another cheap tight end that you can very cheap. You can have a lot of upside with them. He's only like 24 years old still. He was very highly touted coming out of college for the Vikings. Dealt with some injuries, but he's athletic. Like, there is upside there. At 3.2, Joe Burrow, 6.9K. He's cheap on FanDuel too, like 7.4K. Affordable. Mixon's going to be on the field almost the whole time. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. There's just so many ways you can stack up the Cincy side. I do like Cincy a lot. I'll be overweight for sure. I do not like the Baltimore side, really. Zay Flowers is definitely my favorite at 5K. Very explosive. The rookie, like Bateman wasn't even playing much in 2 wide receiver sets. OBJ played more. So I'm hesitant going there. I don't really want to go OBJ. And Mark Andrews sounds like he's going to play. But I think I'd rather just go Kelsey if I'm going all the way up. So I think it's really just Zay Flowers. Of course, the Dobbins situation, very unfortunate there. I saw people asking, like Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. I'm not really messing with that situation either. So it's really Zay Flowers on the Baltimore side. And then any of Higgins, Chase, Irv, Mixon, Burrow. Like I like the Cincy side a lot.
Yeah, I like that as well. And the chat's talking about some of the other stuff. Shout out to our guy Smarty. He's in here right now. Again, giving away that $100. Hoop, we'll give that away in a second. I was just going to add was Tyler Boyd. I was doing some deeper dive on stuff too. Looks like a guy you could plug in for cheap. I liked your call there on Irv Smith. I mentioned him as well on the site because he's kind of squeezed, if you can call it that, within a range of the cheap tight ends. People are playing Musgrave. They're playing one of Knox or Kincaid. Chig for Tennessee. Like he just kind of gets left alone, and you could set something up there with like Jamar Chase and then Burrow, but use a guy like Irv Smith to bring it down some, and it could be Higgins instead. Like you said, just really easy to stack the Cincinnati side. I kind of know what they're doing. And even last week, it's too expensive, I think, this week to get all three of them, but it was either Chase or Higgins could have had a good day. They had the targets. All the workload was there. They just didn't get anything out of it. Literally 0 for 8 on Higgins. And I know the overreaction is that there was only I think the stat was 37% was catchable. So it's not really a true thing, but the idea is different situation this week. So I definitely think that's good. Jack, just so you know, contact, you can hit up Hoop, I think, right? Hoop, you can email you or hit you up on Twitter.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Just shoot your PayPal address and we'll get it all taken care of.
Do you get the second giveaway and then you can go into this game?
Yeah, so the second giveaway, we talk about just the good, friendly environment in our Discord, people having solid communications. Just wanted to point out a member active this morning, talking through some lineup construction, just giving nice comments in there. It's going to be our guy, C. Hearn, 1183. So C. Hearn, hit me up in Discord, get you set up with that giveaway there.
All right, awesome. Talk to us about this Baltimore Cincy game. Congrats to C. Hearn. We'll get you that $100 set up straight away.
Yeah, so it's a very similar mindset to title in this one. I mean, I want exposure to the Bengals side. The nice thing about the Bengals, a lot of different guys that you can get exposure to. Chase, Higgins, I like your Boyd call, Tambo, and then Irv Smith at 3.2K. Nobody is crazy priced where you're not going to be able to get other pieces around them that you want. Everyone's fairly priced, including Burrow at 6'9", and then Mixon. I want to definitely include Mixon. Talked about him last week. I mean, it was just a disaster game all around for the Bengals, and I think they just all bounced back. And I think as a team, they have a big game. I want exposure to the entire Bengals side. On the Ravens, not a ton though. I mean, I agree with you guys. Like, there's just not much there for me. Lamar Jackson, cheap on FanDuel, 7.6K, fine there. DK, don't love it. Zay Flowers is my preferred route if I'm playing any Ravens, which I'll have these guys in my 150. Zay Flowers, it's one of those guys where they are committed to getting him involved in the offense, and he looks like a freak athlete. So yeah, I'm in. Mark Andrews, agree. Like I want Kelsey if I'm paying up, opposed to Andrews. Probably will have some Andrews just for these Bengals teams as a potential run back, but not going to get like a lot of Mark Andrews. So it's just Flowers and Andrews on the Ravens side, and then give me all the Bengals here today.
Yeah, I like that call that you just said. That's because the way Title felt and you felt about Andrews. I like Andrews, actually another pay up option, but I only really like him in these lineups. I want him in that. Like on FanDuel, I found a nice Burrow, Chase, Andrews team that suits everything else that I wanted. I'm good if you have something like that, because now it at least makes sense. And if each of those guys get 2 touchdowns, is it likely? Maybe not. Is it possible? Absolutely. Those are 2 guys that could get multiple touchdowns today, and that would work out. So I like that quite a bit, guys. Just crossed 300 likes. If we get to 500 likes by the end, we've got about 4.5 games left, because there's going to be some quick ones here when we get through these. We'll double the last 100 to 200, and it's a random giveaway. So 2 random people in the YouTube chat could win. Hoop, I'll stay with you. Indy, Houston. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a catch-up game for me. I don't love a lot. The total sitting at 39.5, 40. Houston slight favorite. So basically a pick 'em low total game. Richardson looked good. I mean, I think he's going to be solid. I think he's going to be an asset, but the sites have done a good job and just quickly adjusted his pricing up where it should be. For tournaments, it's hard because you definitely want to stack with someone. It would clearly be Pittman, who, did have a solid game last week, but for tournaments, like, this is not going to be a spot for me. And then the Texans side, like, nothing. Both defenses are probably my favorite plays in this game.
Yeah, there you go. Title, your thoughts on this one, similar to Hoops, or what do you got going on in this one?
I mean, have we seen update on, I don't think CJ Stroud yet. He's questionable. It sounded like
they're going to play.
Yeah,
he's
going to
play.
He's going to go, yeah.
Likely play, yeah. Regardless, yeah, no thank you in this game. I mean, you can't play them all. Of course, I play a lot of teams. So if you see a Nico Collins on my team, like, sure. But if you're only playing a couple teams, there's probably most people out here watching. Pretty easy X out for me.
Yeah, two bad sides can sometimes lead to pace. But again, it would be secondary stacks. Or if you wanted to have some, I noted this on the slate plan on the site, if you want to have some Richardson, I really only like it more if you're stacking it. Like I found a nice Richardson Pittman with, I think it was either Pierce or Collins on the run back. Like, that's how I would do it. And if you want to go there, but nothing I'm going too crazy on. So I think that is the spot where if you're in like a high dollar, smaller field qualifier, that's where I'm going to play it, because then I just want the little bit of upside. This was the other game I mentioned earlier where it's a disgusting low total, but even if it is, 20-17, I think it is going to be condensed where those points come from. So that's how I would try and attack it if you were going there. Let's move on, Hoop. I'll go back to you. Giants, Arizona. Don't know if there's going to be a lot to talk about in this one, but give us your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, these afternoon games are not the sexiest for fantasy appeal, that is for sure. I mean, the Giants just coming off a shellacking, just got their asses handed to them prime time last week against Dallas. Now they travel to Arizona, much more friendly spot. But, man, like, who do you want to play on the Giants offense right now? I mean, they have all these wide receivers. No one stands out. Darren Waller, obviously, at tight end. Yes, they're going to have more success. I mean, it would be impossible for them to not have more success offensively this week, as opposed to their matchup with the Cowboys. But, like, where do you want to go in this offense? I will say Daniel Jones is cheap on DK, but in tournaments, like, who do you want to pair him with? Is it Waller? I don't know. Not excited about this one, to be honest with you. Maybe Saquon, and I'm not super excited about him either. On the Cardinals side, I mean, they're going to be one of the worst teams this year. James Conner is going to get a lot of work, and it looks like Ertz is like their safety go-to tight end. He's only 3.5K. So Conner, Ertz, probably my favorite plays in this game. I just don't have a ton of interest in the Giants side. And, Connors and Ertz look like, volume type plays for me at relatively cheap price tags.
Yeah, the Connors one was brought up. Just to back to that last game for a second, too, some thoughts about Moss. Title, did you have anything on Moss? I actually don't hate that. I forgot about that when we were talking about that one. I think I saw some lineups with Moss, and then I think our projections, one guy that popped, just another teaser, was, I think, Tank Dell. But again, there was, Noah Brown, all the stuff that they've got going on there. There's lots of guys like Mechie is actually active this week. They've got other options there. Nico Collins probably being the favorite. But any quick thoughts on that Moss play? And then you could take us into your thoughts on the Giants in Arizona.
Large Millie Maker stuff field. There's still Deion Jackson there. Hall went to the IR, but I'm Moss's first game back. Like, I'm not expecting a huge role. I want upside on this slate. So yeah, not really much to add there. As far as the Giants-Cardinals game, it's definitely the running backs are my favorite plays on both sides. Saquon, that you spending up where most people are going in the mid-range. You get all the upside there, and you get a little price decrease from like the Henrys of the world and the C-Max of the world. So I think Saquon at less than 10% is something I'm interested in to get different. James Conner on the other side, 6.2K. It's not a fun click by any means. The offense is terrible, all of that. But man, he's out on the field almost 100% of snaps. He can touch the ball 20 plus times. The game stays close. I think Conner can get there just on sheer volume alone. And the last thing, the Cardinals defense. We don't touch much on defense, but 2.6K against Danny Dimes. That offensive line looked as bad as all could be last week. Danny Dimes, he's mobile, but he can hold the ball. He can make mistakes. Cardinals defense, we nailed it last week on the Cardinals, going the opposite side of the Commanders' chalk. Treating me well. I'm going right back to the Cardinals defense this week. So really running backs, Cardinals D, but no, not much in this one.
I'm waiting to see if this is real, by the way. I think someone might have tweeted it out wrong and was talking about Watson. because I can't imagine Dobbs out.
I didn't hear anything either. And like he was questionable last week and he played and actually did well. So that can't be right. Yeah,
I think they mean Watson. It was NFL Rumors tweeted it. So I've always got the notifications on, but I'll wait and see if we see something more official. I think they meant Watson and they just made a mistake. So we'll wait on that update for you guys. But I'm assuming they just made a mistake on the tweet and meant Watson. That's why people are seeing it as reputable. But just of note, Hoop, come back to you, man. Let's go San Francisco and the Rams. We saw in our stack rankings, the teaser alert off the top, Brock Purdy. You get Debo in there, Debo Samuel. You get Ayuk, who had a huge game last week. Any thoughts on this San Francisco-LA game? What do you got with this one?
Yeah, I love the San Fran side. I mean, McCaffrey looked like Christian McCaffrey last week, which is, what you love to see. Price tag is up there, much more expensive than the other running backs on the slate, but want exposure to him. Like we saw it last week, he still has the slate breaking upside within this offense. They're favored by a touchdown, giving me McCaffrey, and then stacking the other pieces. They're all cheap, man. It's a cheap stack, starting with quarterback and the wide receivers who have massive upside. Debo, Ayuk, it was Ayuk last week, but Samuel was at 5 for 55 in a game where two other pieces of their offense went off. He still got 5 for 55. Yeah, that's not going to win you shit in terms of contest, but if he's featured this week, that 5 for 55 could turn into 8 for 120 and a touchdown. So in on him, 5.6 is super cheap. Kittle's the one I struggle with at 5.3. I'll include him. I don't know how much I'll get to him. And then on the Rams side, Higbee's still cheap on FanDuel at 5.1. Puka at 4.9 on DK, 5.8 on FanDuel, still a play. I mean, 15 targets last week or 16, whatever the hell it was. It's a massive number. No one really saw it coming. Still cheap. Not going to mess with the running back. So, but love the 49ers offense here today.
Yeah, and you can just stack them all up too. Again, people are playing everybody in this game. McCaffrey, Kittle becomes a good leverage play. If you want that mid-range, you're not going up to Andrews or Kelsey. You're not going down, and you're not playing one of Debo in that. So lots of ways you can use the San Francisco side. I definitely have interest in that. Higbee, super popular last week. Nobody talking about him this week. That's another spot you could go to here. And then you could have a McCaffrey Higbee mini stack or something like that where McCaffrey does all the work and it's not the passing game. But I'm playing the San Francisco side as well. They're putting up points today, I think, and just lots of action here. But Title, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, I'm in lockstep with you guys. They're just way underpriced for their role, I guess, and what Vegas thinks of them. It's only a 45 total, but a lot of that's because the Rams they're implied for under 20. Team total wise, San Fran won the highest on the slate, approaching almost 27. And you look at their weapons, Debo Samuel's 5.6, 1K too cheap. Brandon Ayuk 5.8K, 500 too cheap. McCaffrey 8.9, appropriately priced, but he has all the upside in the world. And they're touchdown favorites. The game script almost couldn't be any better. They do have Elijah Mitchell and stuff. If they're up 21, I expect Mitchell to get a lot of work, but still love C-Mac, Ayuk, Debo, Purdy. Throw him in 5.7K. You can just do so much with this San Fran stack. So I think ownership is probably higher than people think because a lot of people see that, but you can always get different in other spots and you'll have money. As far as the Ram side, yeah, Higbee's my favorite for sure. Better price on FanDuel than DK, but I think people want to save more money. And he's kind of in that dead range. You either go all the way up for a Kelsey or something to be contrarian, you go all the way down to the low 3K range. Right in that 4.6 spot, I mean, he's pretty much one of the number one weapons. Puka is absolutely insane. Tutu Atwell, you can mix in. Van Jefferson, he's going to be sub 5%, and he was the number one coming into the year. Puka, the monster game. Tutu, solid. No one's going to play Van Jefferson. He can catch some deep balls, should be dropping back. I expect Stafford drop back 50 times last game. The right game script is here, which is what Vegas thinks, and I think San Fran jumps out early. Stafford could drop back 50 times again, so I'm fine mixing in any of these Rams pass catchers. They'll be pretty low owned. I think Van Jefferson's my favorite. Everyone's seen the Puka game last week. The overreaction type, I'll click that button. But yeah, Higbee my favorite. Love the San Fran side though.
Yeah, lots of ways you can do it here. And the chat, just so you guys know, they did correct it. NFL Rumors tweeted out wrong. It was Christian Watson, which we had expected, but just to make that note, always good to stay on top of that stuff. We appreciate you guys bringing that in and letting us know. Want to let you know one more thing before these final two games. If you stuck with us, you're still here. We got $100 to give away at the end to somebody random. We're at almost 350 likes. If we get to 500, we'll double that to 200. And then also to let you know, we did launch the 5-day trial. So if you were looking to get in on SHIPIT Nation, the only thing you won't get is the Discord. If you buy the monthly, it only works out to, it's just over $16 a week. So instead of paying $19 for 5 days, you can pay $69, get in for a month, and get in that Discord right away today, where we're doing all our updates, letting people know everything else we've got going on. But you can get in still for $19. Check it all out. ShipItNation.com. Hoop, Washington, Denver, and the Jets and Dallas are the final 2 games. I don't know how much we're going to find in these spots, but let's start with Washington, Denver. What do you got?
Yeah, just found out Washington's playing Denver. Once you mentioned that, I had no idea this was even a game today, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's ugly, man. Like, we talked about, man, I don't even know where I'd possibly go. So just looking at this, Dotson, 4.9K. Yeah, maybe. McLaurin, 5.7, maybe. Guys that I'll include in my player pool, not focal points of my building today. Antonio Gibson sucks. They keep giving him the ball. He fumbles every time. Like, no interest here. On the Washington side, on the Denver side, Sutton was nice last week with Judy out. Judy's back. Oh, I do have one play I like in our guy. Where's our guy? Chunky Blue. Big supporter. Not sure where he's at, but he's been talking about freaking Troutman.
Yeah, I knew it.
We talked about the first game. He was talking about Troutman, and I do like that play, to be honest with you. 3K flat for Troutman. Who's the dude that
Dolchus is on the IR?
Yeah, on the IR. And Troutman was involved last week. What was it? 5 for 34. Yeah, I'm in on Troutman. So definitely my favorite play. Yeah, there it is. Chunky Blue. He's been talking about him in the YouTube, in our Discord. He's in on Troutman, and I'm in with him. So give me some Troutman out on basically the rest of this game.
Yeah. So we got it covered. So I agree on that. I like the Dotson call. I guess Javonte Williams was someone people liked last week, and now you could go back to it. But I mean, for beyond secondary stacks, our stack rankings did like Sam Howell at the start of the week. So I think I saw some lineups with that, but I don't really have much interest in this game at all, really. The Judy coming back thing is, a fair price, I guess, if he's the Judy of old, but we have no idea what that's going to look like. Title, your thoughts on this game quick, and then we'll take it into the final game, Jets versus Dallas.
Yeah, not a good game. Javonte Williams, if you want to get a really low-owned running back that has explosive upside, like P. Ryan's going to mix in, but we just saw with Breece Hall, Swift, like I made the comparison to Swift and Breece Hall a little bit for explosiveness. People are roasting it, but you see, like, these guys, Javonte Williams has that upside, has that burst. He's just in a split backfield right now, but it only takes one. He can go 70 of the house. So I think he's fine to be very different. John Dotson, I guess. Troutman, very low, or not very low, and he'll get a little ownership, but he won't be high owned. 3K tight end position. I just don't love the upside there. He's more of a blocker, but it's 3K and Dolchus on the IR. Sutton Robinson. Like, I'm just throwing out one-off names, but if you have nothing in this game, I mean, you're totally fine.
Yeah, the one thing about Williams is that he's $5,600, 13 attempts, 6 targets last week. So if they, you get after that. Also, Chase Young back today for Washington. You get him coming at you. I could see some checkdowns to Javonte. And like you said, Title, you called this the other night. It wasn't, a lot of people were in on Swift, but there was a lot of people that were out on Swift the other night. And you and I talked on our Showdown show that we did on the Mayo Media Network about the Breece Hall type situation. And the price was right here, $5,600. He's actually under all of the Montgomerys, the Walkers, the Gibbs, the Dillons, just a little bit more than the Kellys. Like, you could fit this in and do it. So again, you don't have to secondary stack. You don't have to do anything else with it. You could just end it there. But I definitely think a tournament play for large field stuff, especially. Title, I'll stay with you. Final game, Jets versus Dallas. Obviously the news last week, or the injury last week to Rodgers, makes it so that it's not as good moving forward for these Jets, but they still got the job done last week and got the win. So talk to me about this game.
Hurtful. My man A-Rod. He must have been on the good stuff last night, saying he might make a playoff return. He might have been feeling pretty good, hyped up on something. But no, I mean, the Cowboys side, Cowboys D, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb. If you play a lot of lineups or you are chalk, no one is playing CeeDee Lamb today. 7-7, huge favorites. The game script, nobody is playing CeeDee Lamb today. So if you have chalk everywhere, you want to get different, it's CeeDee Lamb at the end of the day. But other than that, Pollard, Cowboys D, move on. I mean, I cannot imagine clicking a Jet name.
Yeah, how popular do you think Pollard will be on FanDuel? Because the Dallas D looks way more popular on FanDuel versus it's so expensive over on DraftKings at 4K. But I was thinking like pairing those guys up on FanDuel is a nice little combo that you could use. And then there's late swap opportunity as well if it didn't go well. So what's your thoughts on Pollard over on FanDuel?
I think there's enough running backs out there where it's kind of going to be mixed and matched around. I'm 20%, 25. Like, I think it'll be in check. I wouldn't fade them because of ownership.
Yeah, and I don't think I have any of Ferguson today, but two guys that I thought of actually, so I'm glad King of Smack brought this up. Ferguson, actually three, maybe Everett earlier, who we talked about a little bit, and then also I forgot about Dalton Schultz on, I think he's on Houston now. Like I was looking up some stats and stuff, and these guys popped to me as like more like anytime touchdowns and things like that you could bet them for. But that was just an example that popped up. Hoopster, I'll go to you, man. This final game, then we'll pick our winner. Doesn't look like we'll get to 500 likes. You guys still have time. Tried to bide you some time. But Hoop, I'll go to you. Final game, Jets, Dallas. Anything here for you?
Yeah, same mindset as you guys. Pollard, Dallas defense. I mean, if I'm spending up for a defense, it's Dallas. Like, I want Dallas defense, and you get the natural pairing with Pollard, who I really like. They're more affordable, like you said, Tambo, on FanDuel, that Dallas defense. So that pairing is probably more popular over there. But I want it on DK too. I can't click a Jets name. I agree with you guys. And then, Ferguson, I don't hate that. Like, if you're looking for another cheap tight end, there's just so many guys like in that 3K range. I mean, Ferguson saw 7 targets last week in that blowout. But yeah, really it's Pollard, Dallas D. CeeDee Lamb will be the lowest owned of all these, high-end wide receivers by a wide margin too. I mean, I don't think he's going to get much ownership at all, and probably rightfully so. Like, Dak Prescott sucks, so it does make sense. But if you're looking for the low-owned top-tier wide receiver, it is CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be much lower than everyone else. I probably don't get there. My focus, Pollard, Dallas defense.
Yeah, Ferguson, same price also. Someone mentioned the $3,300 price point as all those other guys that we talked about. So I could see it there. You got some red zone targets last week too, on top of targets overall, but a blowout, different situation. I don't know how it's going to play out today, but I like that defense. Like Hoop said, I like it. If you get to Pollard and the Dallas D on DraftKings, on FanDuel, it fits great and is easy to get to. But like, there's so many options, as Title mentioned. But on DraftKings, if you can get there, and got to bring this up. Shout out to our guy, Star-Lord's dad. He says, love this show with your guys' scenarios. Makes you think differently. That's what the show is about. All of our shows, the Showdown ones, all are free, of course, but that's also what our site is all about. It's not just the picks and plays, come over and get the core report, all that. We have a full-on education course breaking all this stuff down where Hoop, myself, went through and broke down the process, roster construction, live finals, qualifiers, Showdown, questions and answers that people had asked, that members had asked, that they wanted to get these questions answered. It's 4 hours. You don't have to take it all at one time. You can take it whenever you want, but even if you just sign up for the 5-day trial, you'll notice DFS education is still in there at the bottom. You do still get that when you go and sign up. Hoop, anything else you want to mention when it comes to that, or final thoughts before we get out of here for today?
No, man. I mean, week 2, I think, you talked about it earlier where scoring was down last week. I think it bounces back in a big way today. I mean, last week, a lot of that revolved around the quarterbacks, the high-owned quarterbacks just putting up duds. I think we see a lot of bounce back performances. It started on Thursday night with Jalen Hurts. I think we see big bounce backs from these quarterbacks today, and scoring's way up, and very excited for this slate, and hopefully get a little of that Detroit Seattle mojo going today.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, you look for the final random winner, the last $100. We're not going to make it to
let me cut to the chase, because it's
sure.
funny that you highlighted the comment from Star-Lord Dad. I had that one queued up as the winner, because I mean that is kind of what we're all about. Like this is exactly what we're all about. I had it tagged and you had tagged it. Just talk, love this show with you guys scenarios. Makes you think differently, and that's kind of what we're all about. You don't need to go through and talk about the picks and the plays. There's more to that. There's more to the picks and the plays, the strategy talk, roster construction, things of that sort. So this is kind of what we're all about here on the show, and we're going to continue down this path. So this will be the winner here, Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah, shout out to them. Congrats. You can reach out to Hoop on Twitter or through email, whatever it might be. Contact the site, anything there. But just to be, add on to that, and then Title, I'll go to you for final thoughts, is what Hoop had said there, is like, that's kind of the point. You don't know how many times people have reached out and said, this is what you said on a show, and I won money with it, and I didn't even get to it. It was just thoughts and things. That's why people are like, oh, you do this for, you tell people the wrong stuff. I give all the ideas, all the process, the game theory I can possibly give out. hopefully if it's not me winning the money, somebody else is, and I'm helping them change their life and win money at the top up to $1 million. My goal is always, hopefully today it comes true, is to win 2 million makers on the same weekend. Today, win the 555, have it in the 20 as still if I really like the lineup. And then instead of winning 1, win 2. That'd be a nice time for sure. Be some huge giveaways if that happens. I can tell you that, all right. Title, give us your final thoughts, man, before we get out of here. I'm talking crazy now.
You might as well make it 3 enjoying the FanDuel one over there, the $5 one. But yeah, I mean, it was week 2. It could have been a better week 1. Again, shout out to our guy, Big Marley. It's not just football. Baseball, Nades absolutely crushed. A lot of members throughout the week as well. And the thing is, there's a lot of misconception. Over 500 people watching right now, and there's probably a decent amount that really just play NFL DFS and stuff. But it's not about how often you win in GPPs. It's about when you win, how much do you win? Who could have lost the last year straight? If he kept the same bankroll and he had that $1 million, well, maybe it'd be pretty close. But eventually you get a win here and there. The end of the day is he's going to be plus money for the rest of his life because he got the big hit. You got to get to the top. You got to run good. When you do get to the top, a lot of the money is in first place. But that's how we're talking, like the CD Lamb and stuff. No, if you're playing one lineup, maybe CD's not the right play. But just low-owned stuff, game theory, that is what DFS is. So we're trying to make you better players. Discord, you can ask questions and all that. But so pumped for week 2, man. Free money Sunday. No easier alarm to get up to than 6 a.m. on Sunday. So excited to watch some football, man.
Yeah, me too. And shout out to our ladies. Definitely. We talked about Kim earlier. Here's Donna. We give some love. I was talking to Benny Hanna earlier. We've had some giveaway winners as well. We love our ladies. There's lots of ladies in the Discord that are playing DFS. Our girl too, Bug, who I met, she's got the split logo right now, but just to note, she's in the Discord as well. And I've met her she's made it to King of the Beach the last 2 years. So we love our ladies. We appreciate everybody out there watching. Let's have a fun week 2, guys. Let's go out there for hoop, for title, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.